Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Flight Ready podcast. We're up to episode 9 now in currently 8 months. So we're now ahead of our typical 1 month schedule. So,
We've
so
just
there you
about
go.
clipped this in within August.
Yeah,
Just about did
there are
it.
days left, but we're really hitting it now. As ever, you're joined by the two of us, MasterBen10 and LoudGuns.
Hello.
We're all here as ever. So today we're going to be talking about CitizenCon, which is coming around really quickly. October 11th. That's going to absolutely fly towards us, especially as we start up the hype train. We start up the hype train to IAE. We've got Ship Showdown going on at the moment. To me, this is the point in the year where Star Citizen in general probably gets the most exciting. It's where you get the most releases. I'd say with a hint of a caveat, it's where you sort of get the most positive thinking, which may not always lead to results. But I'm sure we'll come on to that later. So why don't we just kick things off in a really nice, simple way and say, Loud, what are you looking forward to at CitizenCon apart from seeing a bunch of people from FRCN?
Oh yeah, well of course, like that's my number one thing, sort of with the CitizenCon Direct format being back. We are doing our watch party, so my absolute number one thing is that we're gonna get together. Maybe there will be alcohol. Who knows?
Whoa,
Who knows? Um,
easy, Tiger.
but I think it's gonna be interesting. It's harder to pick this year than it has been in previous years because it's so short. It's only actually scheduled to be 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
Wow, they've said 2 hours, but like what I'm worried about is, are we gonna get a Chris ramble? I'm predicting my things I don't want to see as CitCon. I'm just
That's what we'll start
completely
with.
not answering your question. Which year was that? That was like 2 years ago, wasn't it? The completely random Chris and Rich
On the
Tyra
sofa.
on the sofa holding
Yeah,
Jared
2 years
prisoner.
ago. Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
That
sure,
it
pretty
was.
sure, like Jared was just blinking us SOS in Morse code, like save me. So,
There must have been like a moment in a meeting where, like, I think people are starting to worry Squadron may never come. So
hmm.
we need to relate to we need to relate to the viewers. We need to relate to the audience. Jared, you're our man on the ground. Get in here. And it's just like off camera's family, being held a bit. It's like you
Yeah,
better bloody say it.
yeah.
Keep the conversation flowing, Jared.
There were some excellent memes that came out of that, though. I've
Yeah,
got to say. So yeah, hopefully we won't see one of those. But you just don't quite know, so most of it's going to be pre-recorded. So at
yeah,
least it's kind of going to be succinct. Good hope, because they've got the time to put this together and edit it. Um, I think my expectations are a little bit on the low side, though. The actual content. I am really hoping to see more on crafting, because crafting and base building is my absolute jam. Before Star Citizen, I played a lot of survival games, and when I saw that Star Citizen was getting base building, I was super excited. I'm just not quite sure how they're going to top the base building sort of keynote of last year. But I think just more building on that 1.0 presentation would be really good, sort of like showing that they have done additional work, that they've maybe taken feedback, built out their ideas a bit more, and show us more of where it's going in that regard. Because they very much seem to be, I think, much like we had the road to Pyro for, was it 3 years of the road to Pyro in the end?
and when we got the animation, that looked really good.
That was true. Um, I do wonder if we're going to see, because this is now officially the road to 1.0. So just a further development on that 1.0 presentation, building in sort of how they're going to approach crafting and base building, and maybe a bit of a hint, because it's something which I would really like to see. Just more generally, is them use. I always forget the names. They give the PTU, the different types of PTU branches.
Ducati,
Well, there's
tech preview.
so is it tech preview? That's the term I'm desperately trying to find. Thank you. Um, I would really love to see a long-term tech preview channel with crafting and base building, specifically base building. just because in games which allow base building, there's so much weird unintended stuff that you can get away with. I think one of my favorites was from a game. It was Life is Feudal.
Oh yeah.
Had a MMO, and there was a point where people realized that rather than building super expensive siege towers, they could build stacks of bunk beds. so, so you got these like amazing, but because people could like climb bunk beds, they had like a
Right.
ladder on them, and so you could make this like ghetto siege tower out of stacking bunk beds, so that all the ladders lined up.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like people had seriously mathsed it and just been like, the bunk bed siege tower has just as much HP as an actual siege tower and costs about 10% of the resources.
Jesus.
So
Yeah.
so just to avoid like stuff like that, which exists in every
Yeah.
base building focused game that I've ever seen, I would really love them to just have a test build. Like Space Engineers 2 basically is working like that at the moment. They released a build with just a creative mode, and they're just letting
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
build, like get in there, build stuff. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about the persistence of it. Don't worry, like you could just turn collisions off and make it so there was no PvP on that particular test universe, but just let people get in there and or spool a thing up in Arena Commander and build some stuff, just so that people can really poke around with it, because that is going to take a lot to get right. So
Yeah, it definitely is. And I know we touched on it last week about how the patch is coming every month. Sometimes it feels like the PU is becoming the test universe, and then we get the apology message, and then it sort of gets mended halfway through the month. But by that point, you've then got 2 weeks to quickly do what you were meant to be doing for a month, and then you're on to the next sort of ish build. So yeah, it would be really good to see that actually fleshed out fully. I think on the base building, to take a sort of cautious view to this. You know, we've seen base building spoken about and discussed in so many different ways for quite a few years. I mean, it was very nice actually last year seeing assets in game, obviously early plans, but we keep some optimism that actually, these were ideas that were very much fully thought out, and actually the designs were fully thought out. These weren't sort of, we've got 2 weeks, just build some rough assets, put it in the game, then we can restart it all in the future. Because I think what we saw was actually a very good starting point to base building. You know, I think the structures seemed well thought out, the blueprint system seems really well thought out. So yeah, I would definitely like to see that built on. But I think exactly as you said, like when we had the Pyrotech preview coming out with CitizenCon, I think if we're only doing a 2-hour show, we need to basically go, oh right, off you go and go play with that.
yeah, yeah. I think that sort of stands for nearly all of it, right? There needs
Yeah,
to be there needs to almost be a lot more like post CitizenCon
yeah,
stuff this
yeah,
time. It's like they've only got 2 hours, so it's like probably it should be 2 hours of hyping people for the
yeah.
things that they're going to get in their hands before the end of the year or
Mm.
very early into the next year. I understand sort of from a practical perspective why they're doing this way, and it's why I'm sort of tempering my expectations quite a lot for this year, because obviously everybody is full steam ahead on Squadron,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's clearly a no, we're not going to take like a month off to put on a big show in a convention center. And yeah, because I saw some of the guys who worked for CIG in the immediate aftermath of CitizenCon last year when we went to Manchester. It was just like people looked pretty drained because they'd
yeah,
been
yeah.
working non-stop to get their presentations ready, to get all the demos ready, all that sort of stuff. Huge amount of work that goes into it. So
Mm.
with Squadron 42 undoubtedly the focus, it makes a lot of sense to just step back from putting on a huge show. But I hope there's therefore like some more substantial stuff that they can say, and this is coming, and these are the things we've got ready for you to go out and do in the
Yeah,
game,
yeah,
so it
definitely.
carries on a bit more rather than just being a flash in the pan. But how about you? What's your number one most look forward to thing?
So I'm going to give you a wish first, and then I'll
Mm.
give you a prediction. My wish, and I feel like this is probably a common one, is a timeline. And I'm not talking about a timeline for the game because like that would be naive to say at this point. But what I would really love, and actually it was something they did at CitizenCon 2 years ago, and it vaguely held up, was to be shown something and then say, we are planning this to be in the game. We are actively working on this, and we think in the next year this will be in your hands. It's always a really tricky thing to do because obviously testing on a small scale when it goes to large scale is very tricky. But I always come away from CitizenCon super excited, and then the show ends, and you have this moment of, okay, that was really cool, but then you sort of look back to your screen and go, I don't have any of that today. I don't know when I'm going to have that. So if we take the CitizenCon opening, like the great video, we started with the orchestra, then we panned around the verse, and we saw a reclaimer on fire, crashing into the ground. That fire's not here yet. The extinguishers are. We saw engineering going on. That's sort of nowhere to be seen. So my prediction from this will be we get engineering sort of re-announced almost. We get it re-announced as like this is actually coming now, and sort of as you said, I think a tech preview is correct because this is a huge system that will pretty much upend every large piece of gameplay. The Idris waves are going on as we speak, and just a big caveat to people thinking about doing this right now. It's obviously this god tier solo ship, which you get a rail gun for one person. When engineering comes in, we have no idea what's going to be good. We actually don't know if a ship that large is going to be functional. So I would truly love to see engineering sooner rather than later. I think actually over probably most things CIG are working on, to me, over base building, I think we need to see that so we actually know where we stand. I don't think it's not going to be the most exciting for changing sort of the content in the game. It's going to rework how we do things, but it's not going to add a huge longevity to the game. But it just needs to come now. We can't just keep
Yeah,
pushing this thing down the road forever.
this is going to be maybe a contentious tangent, but we're we're like at least 10 minutes in, so we love a good tangent. This
Is that
is
yeah?
my is engineering as it has been designed, because we saw what looked to be quite developed sort of
Yeah.
walkthroughs of engineering gameplay,
iPad
and
fuses
we
overheating.
saw the various arena commander sort of modules which could let you go in and test it out. I don't know, did you get a chance to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
and play
yeah. Got
those
a chance
bits?
to play, but
This is this is going to rub some people the wrong way. Is it shit?
oh yeah, no, it's totally shit.
Because
No,
it
hundred
was
percent.
okay, right? So it wasn't just me. Because
Yeah, yeah.
it's
No, no,
it's
it
like
was rubbish.
all I wonder is, are they stopping and thinking with engineering after the feedback? Did we design a really complex system that absolutely nobody wants? Well, no, there's no chance that nobody wants it, because there's definitely going to be that one person in however many for whom what they're proposing is absolutely bang on what they would love.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm just like, sometimes I think around the table at CIG, I really hope they've got that person, because they maybe haven't had them in the past. They need someone to basically just sit there and at the end of a meeting about a cool new game feature, their entire job, just ask the question, is it fun?
yeah, yeah.
Because I could see how intricate and elaborate some of the engineering systems which were displayed were. I couldn't for the life of me see how it was going to be fun.
No, and I think even to build on that, sometimes if you look at how they design some elements, the question is it fun? The answer seems to be, well, the reward is fun and the feeling of like
Mm.
achievement is fun, but not the actual mechanic you're interacting with. Like, okay, you get these cool suits of armor from the recent one, but is it fun to move 1,000 boxes? And also make sure we remove all the missions where you could fast track this through trading. is that enjoyable? Like, are you sure you get new content? Is it? Yeah, you're dead right. It's just, how do you make it fun for the person to sit on the iPad and wait for something to overheat,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
to mid combat go change a fuse? It's
Well, so
it's
yeah, and it's tricky because I've played other games where ship repairing is a really important thing and does give you a sense of like, you know, in various other sort of pirate games that we've played, it's sort of like you have to make that choice of like, do you take somebody off a cannon, send them below decks to go and start hammering the planks of your ship back into place? And then, like, as you're hammering, you're seeing the water come in and the ship start to sink.
it's Sea of Thieves.
That's this was actually Atlas, but it was like very similar
Right. Okay.
mechanics, and
Okay.
that does create those sort of clutch moments where you're just like, which is the right call, more DPS or more repair,
Yeah.
which is a good balancing mechanic to have, and I think it can be fun on those multi-crew ships because it's the working as a team sort of element which a lot of people will want out of like their multi-crew gameplay. It's just, I don't think it necessarily needs to be super complex. That's kind of
Mm.
the thing. Like, and maybe with sort of as I think one of the problems with engineering that I found in the arena commander tests, the current damage models and all of that stuff mean that the fight is over before you've had a chance to repair anything.
Yeah, that's the big one.
You know, it was one of those sort of situations. So if you vastly reduce time to kill, which to be fair, as we see cap ships in the game, that's what we are seeing. You know, it takes a long
Yeah.
time to kill a Nidris. So maybe with that sort of thing in place. But yeah, I do just think there's an element of like, maybe we don't need quite so many bells and whistles,
Yeah. Yeah.
and maybe there could be a mini game to it, like that is fun for the individual, that takes a bit of skill. You know, something like mining, which is like under pressure. You know, you have to try and keep levels of something within a narrow bar.
Yeah.
Then of course it just turns into Beam Citizen. So these are
Yeah.
the
That's just
reasons
what I
I'm not
say.
a game designer. but yeah, sorry,
Realign the beams.
that was
Repair the fuse.
just my tangent, because I'm like, I don't know if I am excited or not for engineering. I don't know if I'm excited for it or if I dread it. I
Mm.
dread it if it's done wrong and it makes the game tedious, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like, in my mind, I just want to see something in our hands so then we can accept it or reject it. And I think, to me, I feel like I'm probably someone who'd be more tolerant of a convoluted system than the average player. So if I'm finding it boring, then I can imagine that most people are probably also finding this, boring, who just want to log on and play the game. So obviously, this could open a whole new door of how then trying to balance the large ships again. So that's an episode in itself. But
Where
yeah,
I do love the idea of engineering is the tuning type aspect in
mm,
your hangar, like stuff that you can choose to do to give your ship more performance. That sort of tweaking is going to be, because you know it's like in every aspect, right? Like with FPS, everybody loves their particular mods on
yeah,
their guns, like loves their scope, and it's about like trying different combinations to find exactly what you like. That sort of stuff is cool. Um, and there, I would love to see lots of complexity because you've got loads of time. You can get your ships out in your hangar or in the hangar of
mm,
a cap ship and tweaking around with them. And it gives that sort of thing gives people things to do in like long QT jumps, which is great.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, okay. I just was worried that I was maybe the only one sat there thinking, is this shit?
Maybe this isn't the best idea I've ever had, but it's an idea, and it's probably taken a lot of time. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
sorry if you're a CIG dev who has worked on engineering. Like, my apologies.
yeah,
You can
you've
call
done it.
any of my videos shit. I'm fine with it.
I'm sure you've done a great job. But yeah, and it's excited to see. Just final thing, I like how how it's going to look in Squadron, to be honest, because I can imagine this will once again be sort of a ported system, most likely in some capacity. It'll be in Squadron, so yeah, it'll be cool to see if the idea ran better when NPCs do most of the work for you. So it could be anything really, could be anything. But something, okay, this is actually like a prediction, which I think probably this is one I'd be most confident with, right? I predict it's going to run for 2 hours. That's it. That's it. No,
Spot on.
that yeah, I know it's incredible. It's incredible. The skill,
until it's going to go horrendously wrong for you, because that
yeah,
Chris chat is going to happen. It's going to run for 3 additional hours. We're going
yeah,
to end up watching the last 2 hours of it outside the cinema on an iPhone, like
yeah, yeah.
huddled around in the corner booth of a bar.
Honestly, I could be pretty. I think it'd be a pretty good laugh. But yeah, I feel like Chris's luscious voice may not sound as good. But no, so the one I think will actually happen is Nyx. I don't think we'll
Hmm.
see Nyx. I don't think Nyx will be released, but I think we will get more information on Nyx for a 2026 mid-year release. Would be my guess. So wherever Squadron is in the year, add 6 months, 4 months around there, and then release Nyx. Because from what we saw, most of the work is done for it. It's only 1 or 2 stations, I believe, which are complete. And obviously, there's a few more bits of work. It's never nothing we ever see is actually complete. It's not complete when you get it, let alone in the
Yeah.
videos. But it'll be good enough. So I do think we'll see. I do think we'll see Nyx actually giving us a release date. To be honest,
Yeah.
or release year.
I think even it could be sooner than mid next year.
Really? Okay.
Well, so this is the thing. There's not all that much in Nyx
Yeah.
as a system. So it's not the most densely populated. It's not loads of planets, loads of sort of big cities or anything like that. I think they have to, if they're going to go down that route, they do have to tell me why I want to go to Nyx.
This is the big one. Yeah.
What's interesting there. And I think they have shown over the past year that just having more play area to fill with stuff, just like, we've got this system pyro, let's stick this worm there.
Yeah.
It does give them more area to stick stuff in. It's great, but yeah, because this is again, some people are going to hard agree with me, and some people, probably those with experience of game development, are going to be like, wrong, like total noob. But would it be that hard? Like, is it that hard now to add a system? Because obviously the big issue with adding Pyro was you had to work out how to link two systems.
Hmm.
How to work out all of the mechanics of, when I turn up at the jump gate, how does it open? How does it transport me through? How do I end up in the Stanton branch of this server? So
That's all done.
That's all done.
Yeah.
Now add Nyx. Now add, like, and I get, like, now add Castra is maybe a bit punchier because there's a lot more to develop. It's like, cool, we can add it, we can stick a wormhole there, but then you go complain at us that it's not done.
Yeah.
That we're missing planets and shit. But with Nyx, I'm just sort of like, could that not be maybe a lot sooner than we think? And yeah, it would be cool. We obviously, I think we need to see that sort of rate of the rate of progression accelerate.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
For it to be like, hey, we're going to add this new system and it's coming soon. But like, not let's still be talking about this at next year's CitizenCon.
Yeah.
Not leave. And I totally get what you mean about like putting dates on stuff, because it's like, no, like CRG putting dates on stuff is a 12-year-old joke at this point.
Yeah.
but like, you kind of need to start being like, we can push this out pretty rapidly to give a view that 1.0 is actually going to come within a reasonable period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just say
And
2 years. Just say 2 years all the time.
2 years is
An
fine.
ever rolling
And then
2-year target.
yeah. When anyone asks after 6 months, 2 years, mate. So within 2 years,
Yeah,
surely
2
it's in
years.
there. Yeah. Yeah. It's all
Two-ish.
in the executive summary. So the more I actually thought about this, sort of back of my mind, you sort of, I guess, actually have two options, don't you? You either do post squadron or you actually do pre squadron because it's on a Vandal system. So maybe some people who are still on the fence who play Star Citizen think, oh, put some Vandal events in the game. Maybe think, oh, I kind of want to fight these guys a bit more. Maybe Mark Howell's there. Who knows? Who knows? Um, then you have the audience who will first get into the Imperial Cloud gaming industry of playing their games with Squadron 42. So you almost want them to port straight over to Star Citizen and there to be as much content as humanly possible. So actually, at which point, yeah, I do agree that sort of it needs to be now or post. So yeah, but yeah, the biggest thing is if we even vaguely mention Nick's next year. And do you know what? Okay, quick caveat here. I really like when these are recorded because when it doesn't happen, someone I really hope will send me a clip of like the stupid, dumb hopes and prayers I have and be like, you were wrong. How do you feel? It's like, yeah, that's a year of your life gone, mate. I really hope at no point
No,
in a year's time.
you just say thank you for 2 views.
Yeah, exactly.
You have
Yeah.
to come back here to leave that comment.
That's really kind. That's absolutely getting a like. Um, if we mention Nyx this time next year, in episode 10, about it almost being ready, I'm going to be just livid because you're
Yeah.
dead right. To me, CitizenCon needs to be either big 10-year plans, right? Well, not 10-year, God no, I hope it's quicker than that, but like the big 1.0, this is what we're working towards plans. And also, this is my keynote of what you're getting in the next 12 months. This is what you're actually going to get out of this game. This is what's going to keep you excited for a year. Because I can imagine new players. I don't know really. What do you think about this? But I think new players will probably be less tolerant than the die-hard people who've been
Well,
here
yeah.
for 6 years, and
I mean, there's
frankly, we've got nothing left.
there's people like and like because I try and keep when I make content about the game, I keep it glass half full because I am glass half full.
Yeah,
Like I'm not a zealot. I put it like that. Like I'm not a Star Citizen zealot. I take breaks. I go and play other games. It's
how
but
dare you?
I always then keep coming back to Star Citizen because those games don't have the ambition.
Yeah,
Some might call it scope creep. Um, I don't. I just think generally a lot of games that are good, an IGN 9 out of 10, otherwise known as a 6 or 7 out of 10.
yeah.
Like they're like solid, but they're solid because they just didn't really try.
Yeah,
They just iterated a little bit on games which had proven popular. They're fun to play, but it's like watching the 19th Marvel Avengers movie.
mm.
It's like, cool, there were explosions, Hulk smashed, but like, do I need to go and watch this again? No.
No, you've
Whereas
seen it now.
Star Citizen has that factor of they are trying for something bigger and better than
Yeah,
anything we've realistically seen and played in an MMO, with a level of fidelity to it which has escaped those games which are massive. But to me, I think the important thing is they need to prove that there's life in the game long term.
mm.
Like people, your average MMO player. So sorry if this is you, and it does describe me, and I'm sure it describes Ben. Like you're one of the people who've been here for 5, 6, 10 years, and you've sunk a bunch of money into the game, and you watch content like this, like you're bought in. You're bought in already. You've already
Yeah,
invested your time and your money into this product. A new MMO player like sat on the sidelines is going to look at it and going to be like, it's going to be X amount of my time to get to a certain level in this. Is there longevity to it? Like, am I going to be playing this in patch 1.1, 1.2, 2.0, 3.0, like way down the line? And so, to me, they sort of need to show that they can realistically release 2 systems a year, 3 systems a year. Like, because 5 systems is great. I love what they've done in terms of like railing in some of the scope creep.
Yeah.
By saying 1.0, our live release of the game is going to be 5 systems. Great, well done. Best thing CIG did in 10 years. But like, it can't then just stay at 5.
Yeah.
It needs to be 5, becomes 6, becomes 7, becomes 10, becomes 20. Like, and if now that they're over, like, we can forgive all of the years that it took to get to Stanton and Pyro because of all the tech hurdles, we can't forgive it taking the same amount of time to get to Stanton and Pyro and Nyx.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think the dream big version of your prediction. I think Nyx is like the safe prediction. I think the dream bigger prediction would be Castra.
Castra feels like a lot of work.
The only reason I think it is because of the tie-in with the Vandal sort of stuff.
Okay.
Because if I remember rightly, somebody can correct me, but if I remember rightly, I think Castra is meant to be a sort of hot zone front line with the Vandal.
Castra was in the middle, wasn't it? It was one of the 5 on the Perry line, something like that. Something along there.
I know it's like heavily militarized or something.
Yeah. And they had the planet they just bombed to like weapons test. I mean, talking about keeping it close to home, right? Sure, let's just put a huge city on a like, oh, look at the neighboring moon. We bomb that thing every day. Why not?
You can also like, and it's one of the things which I love lore in like all of this stuff. So I watch a lot of Astropub for Star Citizen lore and endless amounts of Warhammer 40k lore. But I think one thing to like keep in mind with Star Citizen as much as anything is like the ability to retcon.
Yeah.
They don't really need to call it retconning. Nothing's released yet, so they can just rewrite it. It's and I think it would be sensible for them to have at least one of these 5 systems. And it won't be Terra and it won't be Stanton. So the logical one is Castra. That is a UEE system that is under attack by the Vandal. So it's sort of like, right, I go to Stanton to make money. I go to Terra because it's like nice and safe and big and trade and that sort of stuff. I go to Pyro and Nyx because they're lawless, outlaw life. I go to Castra because I want to fight the Vandal. Right, and you do sort of need that. I think a lot of people are going to get stuck in fighting the Vandal in Squadron 42. Then they're going to get to the end of Squadron 42 and they're going to be like, right, point me in the direction of some more Vandal to go and kill.
Yeah.
And you need to capture that. You need to be like, continue your adventure. Because that's what like Red Dead Redemption did incredibly well. That's probably like the best example I can think of a game which tied a single player game to an MMO. Probably also GTA.
Yeah, I was gonna say GTA is like they have nailed that money scheme, haven't they? It's an absolute win. But you are right. I mean, I know we've seen a lot of events recently, and part of me is quite hesitant to say I'd like to see a big event announced at CitizenCon because, frankly, they don't feel that rare these days. We sort of get everything quite often, but we need something on a much larger scale. I think you are right from a combat point of view, it's something more like adrenaline rushy, sort of to pull you in instead of the new sites are really cool. Like the new PVE sites, the new armor, the level design is so stunning, so good. But there comes a point where you've gone to like the 5th one of these, the 10th one of these, 20th one of these, trying to find the armor you want, and it is frankly the same at the moment because they didn't release the full idea in one go. So we need something more dynamic. We need something that players can drive. And I feel like I'm basically describing a cargo event, but let's put some guns in it instead, right? Let me just sort of. I know I talk about Elite Dangerous as an example a lot of the time, even though I haven't really played it in a while. But the way they had hazardous zones, so sort of like low threat, medium high threat. Let me just go somewhere and like have a brawl, and then maybe that it escalates and leads to a larger result for the Vandal winning that battle. You get QED, you get stuck there. So you are right. We just need something slightly larger to actually feel like we're involved in the game instead of just jumping around it.
Yeah, yeah. I also think there's an element of, because I thought one of the best ones was the Overdrive initiative.
Yeah,
So because the way they gave you smaller replayable missions that you could go and do, and also that it sort of felt with the narrative drive like you were, it had the story aspects that
yeah,
MMOs like often we skip through, but actually if they weren't there, you miss them, right? So it's
yeah.
like having that sort of thing, and I do hope that they take some of the stuff forward from the resource drive. So bad with the names of these events. The whole like global tracking sort of side of
Mm,
things was
that
really
was
good.
really good.
I think, did you play much Helldivers? Like Helldivers
Yeah,
2?
yeah. They good with Helldivers.
Like kind of the way that everybody's sort of input
Yeah,
into whether they tried to fight, whether you killed enough bugs in a certain zone, meant that it could go one of two ways. Because
mm,
there's no risk, right, for us as a player base.
not really.
There's no situation where it's like New Babbage will just get bombed and cease to exist.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, you could potentially have like negative outcomes. Don't fight hard enough, don't deliver enough supplies. Well, prices of all goods are going up by like
Mm,
10%. Which is a great world to be in if you're like a miner going and getting resources, but it's a bad one to be in if you're on the end of that. Oh, well, I
yeah,
don't like that. Well, fight harder next time, that
yeah.
sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think probably their focus is going to be more around like the sorts of things like Hathor, like the
Mm,
Worm, like the new Onyx facilities, just because, and it's something which recently I haven't played too much in like the last couple of weeks because of real life, and I came back sort of last couple of days, and I finally got round to like trying the Onyx facilities out. Really good. Then I just decided to go and do some pew pew patrol missions, some of the new escort missions,
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Hopped on over to Pyro, ran the contested zone, and it's like, then when you stop and think about it, you're like, yeah, this is actually building into a game where I can play and get a varied amount of different stuff. Um,
Yeah.
I think to go full circle, giving us crafting of some description,
It was all crafting.
just all crafting, but just it doesn't need the base building and crafting don't need to come together.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, definitely.
so give us crafting, but like through some sort of like they could show how the fabrication machines work. If they could maybe realistically have a roadmap for putting those into game,
Mm,
just like fabrication machines that you just have in your hangar, like stick them there, because then all of a sudden, yeah, running that Onyx facility mission is a bit samey, but that's a grind in.
yeah.
And if like the various stuff that you're getting from around, from around the verse, from around all these different types of missions, if all of that and resources from mining, resources from salvaging, if that all then filters into a system where it's like, I bring that all back to my home base, I stick it all into my home hangar, I trade the bits I have with some of my friends for the bits that they have, and then in the machine in my hangar, I can make stuff. Like, I can make myself better guns, I can make myself better armor. I think that's got like a lot more longevity to it than the system of I am going to run this Onyx mission over and over again in the hope that I get the arms that I'm missing from
Yeah, yeah.
like this new suit. Yeah, it's just grinding for the various ingredients, I think, has a lot more. You don't sort of stop and go like, why am I doing this quite so easily?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You just need a sort of larger goals to work to.
mhm.
Speaking of larger goals, everyone's favorite bit of CitizenCon, at least it's mine typically, the ship panel. What's coming, the ship panel?
I don't think there's
That's
going
what
to
it's
be a ship panel. Said
Don't say
no
that.
one. Said no one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was about to
Just
jump in
like,
the car and get
I'm
on
not
over
quite
there.
sure I know where to go with this.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, oh well. Moving on briskly.
No, I've got a ship I'm predicting, but like, I'll you go first, and we'll see if it was the same
Okay,
one.
okay. I don't think there's any points to this even, so I think it's fairly safe to say the Polaris will be like the cool. We got a video last year of the Perseus
This
this
is
year will be the equivalent of what we got last year with the Polaris. It's like, oh, look at the fancy camera angles as we fly around it. Very much looking forward to that. That's been, just turned into some of the photos they've put in the news reports. It looks stunning. Size 8 cannon, stunning. I'm not sure they're PDCs on top now or they're still remote turrets. They used to be bladed in the original concept,
I
but
think they'll
that'll
probably
be
just be
interesting to see.
PDCs. It would make
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that will be great. What am I actually predicting? Because I don't think that's that exciting. I'm going to go with the Ironclad. I think
Mm.
the Ironclad is one we could actually see. It was initially slated for work in the year. Obviously, it's going to happen before the Kraken, and the Kraken I don't think we're going to see. So that could be good. To me, it seems like a logical ship to introduce into the game right now, especially if you're intending to do any new ground combat because it's a beast at carrying like Nova tanks. I'm not sure if it can fit Atlas platforms. I don't know if you know that one.
I'm not sure, but I'd be very, very surprised if it couldn't.
Yeah, I mean it's meant to be pretty large hull, but the only thing that relies on is the command module tech, which they are currently working on. But if they're working on that now, maybe the Ironclad's then predicted a bit too early.
Again, it's a little bit like so. So I would absolutely agree on
So what you're going for?
Perseus and Ironclad. No, so
Damn
I
it.
so I think I think it's going to be 3 ships that are going to be the key focus.
Okay.
There's probably, let's face it, going to be some, because there's always a LTI token.
Oh
So
yeah,
there'll
yeah.
be something little, like there was the the Atlas, the CSV, the STV. There'll be something
Mhm.
sort of in the here's your LTI token for this year camp.
Yeah.
I think it'll then go, here's the Perseus, we've done it.
Yeah. No, nothing
This is
exciting there. We know it's coming.
this is coming out. This is the unveil of the full official. Here is the Perseus. Here's the Ironclad. We're nearly there. And maybe we are there because maybe the command module doesn't matter. I think it really matters long term. Like I think it really matters for the Caterpillar long term. But like,
Yeah.
the command module matters to the Caterpillar, and oh, there goes another Caterpillar. Like it's in game, it's working. It just doesn't
Yeah.
have that particular feature. So yeah, I think they could release the Ironclad without that. But I think the showstopper of the ship thing is going to be the Kraken.
No,
Yeah.
sorry. I just like
Calling it.
clip it.
Yeah. We can clip this, and then we can laugh at whoever's wrong.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like the ship panel carries a lot of weight of your average CitCon. Doesn't carry all
It
the
really
weight
does.
like some people suggest, but it definitely, it's definitely benching more than some of the tech panels.
For
The
sure.
tech
Yeah.
panels are really important, and I know some people who are like, that is their favorite part of CitCon. But to the average person, it just goes whoosh, way over our heads, and we don't get it. So we don't get how cool it is. And then somebody sits us down at the end and goes like, it's gonna make Forest look way cooler. Thanks.
The
Cool.
clouds. Look at the clouds.
I like cool forests. But the ship panel, definitely carries a lot of weight for like the average Star Citizen enjoyer.
Yeah.
And when we've got an Idris in our hands and we walk around it, how do you make a jaw-dropping ship panel without something that can match it? That's my question. Like, it's like how
Look,
if you made the entire ship panel, here is the Perseus, here is the Ironclad, people would be like, nice. But it wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't have that, like,
I
oh
know what
my
you mean.
god.
I do know what you mean. I just feel like it's too soon. And so just from like a vague, rough estimate, like how long these ships take to make, I just don't think they'd have the time in a year to do it. To be honest, like, while
The thing
also
is though,
keeping other ships.
it doesn't have to be like crazy, right? It doesn't have to be like, here's the Kraken, been hiding it all this time, release tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just got to be like, here's the full white box walkthrough of the
Okay. Okay.
newly developed Kraken. Like, yeah, we sat down, we took another crack at it, we worked it out in the new. I so well did
Uh,
there.
uh.
But like, you know, we took another run at it, like they did it with the Pioneer at last year's
Yeah.
one, doing the full walkthrough, saying because you know one of the ships which pisses me off the most at the moment is the Reclaimer, because the
Okay.
Reclaimer is like a ship that was designed and released before its game loop.
Yeah. Years
You know,
before. Yeah.
way
Yeah.
before its game loop, before like the advent of bigger boxes than one SCU,
Yeah.
before they'd worked out how you would take cargo off ships, all of these things. So the advantage that unreleased ships have is that they can just go, well, what we had before, kind of put a cross through that. Let's just redesign this
Yeah.
to a decent degree. And then, yeah, if they sort of did a blender walkthrough of the white box of a reimagined Kraken, then I think that would have the ship panel carrying its assigned weight. So,
Okay. What about I offer this? We last year, obviously, as you said, saw the Pioneer reimagined. We were told the Pioneer was going to start being worked on. I think they said the week after CitizenCon, sort of when that got going. How would you feel if we heard, because we've heard nothing in the air about it? How would you feel if we heard nothing about it at CitizenCon?
it's yeah, it's tricky. I I'm not sure what, if anything, would have been done to the Pioneer, unless a whole ton of stuff that we don't know about has been done to base building.
Yeah, agreed.
That's it's kind of like, I think and this is like maybe CIG learning from past mistakes. I wouldn't really worry at all about not seeing anything on the Pioneer, because I think sort of the important thing was they did that tied it into, you know, how it will work with the new, because they were showing all the new base building mechanics. If they hadn't shown the reimagined Pioneer, then they would have been facing a ton of questions, because there was a really detailed video from 2017 about how the Pioneer would work,
Yeah, and it's totally
including
different shit.
like, you know, blender visualizations of it moving and
Yeah,
sort of dropping down those like ready-made outpost blocks. That was the idea for base building at the time. So if they hadn't done that walkthrough of like, hey, we completely reimagined the ship, then Spectrum would have been ablaze with how does Pioneer work? Question mark. When?
yeah,
Question mark. So I think that sort of pre-answered some questions there, and sort of tied quite well into it. However, I don't know that the Pioneer necessarily needs any work on it until they've stuck I'd quite like them to just start by sticking the the hover gurney type the
Yeah.
hover dolly
A shopping trolley with
of
a
building.
furnace in it. Yeah.
Just stick that in players' hands in like that test universe.
Hmm.
Let us build some little outposts. Then like let's do bigger outposts using the crane type thing.
Yeah.
Then once you've got all of that figured out and you've worked out some of the problems with it and you've you know dealt with the issues there, then build the Pioneer. Don't build it, make it perfect, release it, and then find that it doesn't have the footprint for a necessary part of
Hmm.
base building once you've worked out the kinks in base building.
Yeah.
But that presentation undoubtedly sold a lot of Pioneers.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth there. I think this would be. I mean, if people are this far in, I think they've already been playing the game for a while and know the routine that CIG may or may not accidentally fall into every year, where we seem to get some quite large hype about certain ships, Banning Merchantman, Pioneer. Um, there was one other one which was like hugely hyped up and nothing ever happened. Anyway, take everything with a grain of salt would be my being burned too many times advice when going into those panels, because just because someone on stage says it's about to be worked on, it feels like, and it's in the past, these timelines are made years in advance, right? And they're sort of their pipeline, sort of like I said, a 2 or 3 years of shipbuilding pipeline. Um, I don't know how true that feels when you listen to when they say something's being worked on and when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd always have a certain level of imagine nothing is coming until it arrives.
Always ask yourself a question as well. How crucial is this ship to Squadron 42?
That is very true. Yeah.
Because if the ship in question is going to be absolutely essential to Squadron 42, pretty good chance that
Yeah.
CIG have developed it somewhat.
Yeah.
Now, like just taking something completely that I think we would all agree is like way off in the future, like the Bengal. Like the
Mhm.
Bengal features in Squadron 42. It was there in all of the sort of the cutscenes and stuff that we saw from the start. But like you can imagine that every area that isn't shown in one of those shots is not developed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
so fair enough, some of that stuff you can look at and you could be like, yeah, it's kind of a background asset in Squadron. So just because it's going to be in Squadron doesn't mean that it's definitely coming. But if like the Idris, it's front and center, and maybe to a lesser extent the Javelin, then
Yeah.
there's more chance that it's further along. But stuff like the Pioneer, um, Endeavor Owners Club represent, you know.
Every year I have no issue with it because I do understand the logic when people go, I'm going to get Pioneer because it's such a good deal. And it's like, it is, at that point, like,
It is as
just
much
get a
as
government
any
bond,
JPEG for $1,000 can be
right?
considered a good deal.
Right? It's like, oh, well, the Orion, that was the one. We started hearing more about the Orion getting worked on. We saw the bakery concept. Um, and then it's like, oh, well, it's really cheap right now, so I got to get one. It's like, okay, well, how long are you willing to wait? Right? Do you just not want $350? Because like they'll take it, but you're not going to get anything for a while.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, always a funny one. That always a
yeah.
funny one. There's a lot of. I feel like as the game gets bigger, I kind of want to see the ships they're developing to pivot a bit. Like okay, to go back to what we're predicting, what we'd like. I would really like the idea of a repair ship. So the Crucible would be
Mhm.
really, really good at this point in the game, and a refinery ship. Because I feel like we've spoken about a refinery ship. Isn't there a small one the same size as Prospector? Starts with
So
an
there's
E.
the Expanse. Yeah.
Expanse. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Weird ship to use that name for. That's all I could say.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
hear Expanse and I'm thinking like amazing exploration ship,
yeah.
but no,
Not
small
tiny
refinery
prospector.
ship. But yeah, I
This
mean,
is just it's what we need, really. To be honest, we just need that ability to. I actually can just go off grid and do a long party and not run out of fuel. Yeah,
and I think that's an essential. Refining is the first crafting process in every crafting game. So it
it's all crafting.
totally makes sense. Ditch engineering, forget engineering, develop refining. Job done. Like, because
Yeah,
it would be huge. Like we've definitely found it running mining events. Like we've done some of the ones out to Pyro, and it's great and everything, but it's just like you find yourself there, like mining around some of the moons, way away from like the major stations. And it's just like this would be so cool if I could just drop it back to my friends in dead space, like a
yeah,
million kilometers away, and then go straight back to mining. And a lot of
yeah,
the other stuff that would be required for that works. That's the other thing as well. So a lot of the groundwork is done. Um, they just need the ships in the process. So I mean, industrial ships would be big sellers.
yeah. They
That's
would be.
always a
Yeah,
thing as well. It's sort of like yeah, the Kraken stuff would have wow factor, but a big update on something like the Arastra or a salvaging ship, because there's quite a lot of space within salvaging. Like you got the very
Mm.
small Vulture and Fortune, then all of a sudden you jump to the Reclaimer.
Yeah,
There's a really big sort of gap in there for like the mole of salvage, basically. I
yeah,
mean, just
yeah.
take the mining lasers off a mole, stick salvage lasers on it, job done.
Wouldn't be that hard, would it? And that's a whole different variant. That's not a module. That's another $250 right there. Easy
John
peasy.
Crew, I'll take 5% commission for that one, if you don't mind.
No, I think what the game is missing is another light to medium fighter because
It's not a deep
we're missing.
bench, is it really?
No,
But
no, no.
like this is the thing. I do love seeing a bit of variety around,
Yeah,
and clearly people like them because they wouldn't be making them otherwise.
keep being made. Yeah, it's like we're doing a bit of Arena Command tonight, and I was just memeing about playing some random loadouts like ballistic cannons, ballistic gatling, just sort of pretty dumb stuff if you're actually trying to win or function in any correct capacity. And it just got me thinking. I really wish we found a better way to actually get all like weapons working together. I know that's not how metas work. We will
Mhm.
gravitate to the best things, and with time to kill being so low, a few second difference doesn't really matter. Sure, ballistics can go through the shields, but if I can just shred the shields quicker with repeaters and then still have a rough DPS, it makes sense just to run that instead. But it would be so nice to see a good difference, a sort of a
Yeah,
reason to actually run different ships, like the Meteor and the new snub manufacturer ship. God, I can't remember that one.
yeah. The Kruger
Just
Wolf.
running the Wolf, yeah,
Yeah,
running ballistic gatlings. It's like that's quite cool in a way. It just forces you to have a change, but quite tired of seeing F7As, and I'd like them to be sold in game or I don't know, balance in a way where other things make sense. Like the Arrow right now is a really good ship again, so that's great to see.
yeah,
But yeah, let's just. I like when the F8 finally fell out of meta. I would like to see that sort of rebound. I'd like to see that cycle continue to a new ship.
yeah. I sort of think I do think, and I think you're seeing it a little bit in terms of with capital ships in game now. You're maybe starting to see at least enough of the pieces are on the board for them to really start developing the rock paper shotgun
Yeah,
sort of balancing. Because the problem is, like, for so long, it was just like the only viable combat ships are fighters of some
yeah,
description. And the most common combat engagement is 1v1. The second most common combat engagement is a few people versus a few people. It's so at least like now we are starting to see with like long-term objectives always on in game, with bigger ships, with more variety, you're starting to see more more diversity and bigger combat engagements. So that's where the potential lies. I mean, I sort of think it's one of those things like trying to balance like heavy versus medium versus light fighters. Kind of an exercise in futility, because that's not going to be. That would just all require complete rebalancing further down the line.
Yeah.
But I do, yeah, completely get what you mean. Though I hope that there's more. Ballistic weapons are good for this, and if you don't have any, be a bit at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
But also, I think, and maybe it's like a little one of those like mechanics that they could show that could, it doesn't take long to show it working. Could probably be in game quite soon. Reloading.
Yeah, that's a
Like,
massive one actually.
Like, because I've got this actual carrier in game now.
Yeah.
I want like and that to me would matter like more than engineering, being able to like repair and rearm ships in the hangar of my Idris and send them back out. Because then that creates like lots of cool dynamics. Like if your ship gets like its wing blasted off, takes a beating and uses up all its ammo, your objective then is to like limp back to your carrier, not just kind of do your best. I mean, crash into someone if you can.
Yeah.
But that was a surprising amount of prediction. I didn't know if we had enough in us for this particular episode. But when you get talking about it, there's a lot you can wish for.
I think that's it's sort of it's nice in a way to see we're at a point in the game where it the things we're asking for, and I think some of them are actually quite. I don't think we said many things here that were like, "You're deluded. That's never going to happen." Apart from the Kraken, by the
1.0
way.
release date.
Yeah.
1.0 release date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris is going to put a giant timer on the building,
and I want it to be by next CitCon.
Yeah. This is the new rule. Everything said has to be done in a year, even 1.0. If you say it, it's gospel. It's happening. Chris mentioned VR last year. That was out of nowhere. Let's just mention that again. Really, really hype up those 10 people. But VR would be sick.
I've got one that I really don't want to see.
Go on.
Okay. It's not just more about Chris rambling. Squadron 42.
You don't want to see anything on it?
Minimal. Give me 2 minutes or less on it, and I'd be happy. Because it's just one of those things where it's like, the playthrough from last year, which was
horrific.
I mean, bit painful.
Yeah.
This is like a single player story driven game, which don't get me wrong, I am actually looking forward to.
Yeah, same.
I am looking forward to it. I'm gonna book the weekend off with my wife. I'm gonna do loads of
usually work the weekend.
Wife. Married. I work harder at the weekend now. I don't think my boss will have got 1 hour and 3 minutes into this. But I'll cook dinner, all of that stuff the weekend before. Get one weekend, and I will just front to back that game. I'll just play it all the way through, enjoy it. But I'll enjoy it for the story.
Yeah.
So you can't show me anything from Squadron that I really want to see.
Yeah.
Like maybe a trailer, maybe an updated trailer. I'm not expecting them to stick a release date on it any firmer than what they've got, just because I think that that's going to come with like whatever marketing drive they're going to do. And honestly, no diss to CitCon. I think they should probably choose a bigger, more conventional gaming convention to announce and sort of release that at. But but I can't think of anything about Squadron 42 that I really desperately want to know, apart from what month should I mark in my calendar 3 months after whatever release date you say. Yeah, that's because even a release date would be kind of pointless, because it's like, you know,
Oh,
that
for
it's
sure.
not
Yeah.
the release date. So
You'd almost know, oh, I can work that day. That's okay. That's
I
fine.
can
Yeah, yeah,
definitely not book that
yeah,
weekend off. Like,
yeah. I'll actually book a holiday because
yeah.
I know I won't be off the squad. Yeah, like ironically, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was my number one point on my list of predictions. Didn't mention it in an hour and 5 minutes, so really glad I did that one. Um, I really wanted to see a trailer. I wanted to see. So there was an interview recently. I'm actually quite glad this is towards the end because this is the sort of theory crafting where you just get like told you're an idiot. Um, I'm sure I get told that already from what I said today. But there was an interview recently where uh, Chris said he wants Squadron to be before GTA 6. So GTA 6 is May 2026, right? And I just didn't believe that for a second because, frankly, like so but that's 6-7 months away already, which seems already a bit fanciful. But GTA 6 is actually a genuine roadblock or concern they'll need to consider in when they're trying to release. Obviously, they're not going to the same, not selling to the same people exactly, but they're still, frankly, people with 60-70 pounds in their wallet and want to play games. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll be. It's either going to be really late in the year, sort of like Gamescom time this
yeah.
year. So we're talking like, August, or I don't think it'll be early. I just that's not enough
I
time,
always
frankly.
just expected it to be Thanksgiving,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
Thanksgiving 26, because Thanksgiving is if I'm not mistaken, is a really big window for releasing big games.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
just because, if you can get it out ahead of Thanksgiving weekend, I mean, present giving is one thing, but also sort of folks in the US having a decent weekend, long weekend off to
Yeah.
sit down and play their favorite video game is a good start.
Yeah.
And it like leads then nicely into Christmas as well. So I mean, the idea that Squadron would be ready before GTA 6, I think you're almost better to just let GTA 6 come and go.
Yeah. I agree.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would also, like, I will buy GTA 6 when it comes out and
Don't
sit
know.
down and play it. Like, it's one of those ones I just like. You just always have to play any Red Dead and any GTA. But
Yeah. You just got to play. Fair enough. Fair enough. I played 5 minutes into the story of GTA 5 and then got bored. And that because online had already come out, right? Like I really got into I really got into GTA like way past the hype of it, and I was just like, I just want to play with people online. So yeah,
yeah,
there we
yeah.
go.
No, there's
Yeah,
a
this is all still predictions for CitizenCon. Sorry,
yeah. We're definitely not tangenting towards the end.
no,
There we go. But that's the bombshell we'll leave it on. Don't want your
yeah,
Squadron 42 stuff.
yeah. If you show us episode 2 of like what a 12 episode video game,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
isn't working. Yeah,
Unless it's like, here's Squadron 42. This is the really big announcement. We're about to start like a 2-month marketing drive, and it'll be out by Christmas.
how
Then
sick would
then
that
you can
be?
say some Squadron 42 stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Just 2 hours of Chris being like, I told you it'd be. I told you it'd be now.
I did it. And Rich Tyra's going to do a full playthrough for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, just crashes every 10 seconds. Like, let's not bother.
We had a
Yeah,
bunch of stuff recorded, but we've packed that all in. Like,
yeah,
just
yeah.
going to be Rich.
Let's do it live
Let's
because
do
what could possibly go wrong? Actually, okay. Final thing I really want from CitizenCon. Do you remember that year where we had this guy who was doing like the keyboard and mouse, and someone else was talking, and it was like, Carl, Carl, open the door. Open the door.
the
Carl, walk in the door.
was the one from 2 years ago Bones as well? Bones.
Bones. It was Bones. That
Bones.
was it. Yeah.
Bones.
And it was just like, guy, it gave me reminders of the Brits in the audience. The next slide, please, during all like the pandemic prime minister speeches. It was like, guys, surely you could have bought a clicker. It's like,
Okay.
Bones, you must have rehearsed this.
Yeah. I'm not sure I trust any politicians with a clicker. That's far too advanced for our country. But yeah. But on that bombshell, no CitizenCon. Have no CitizenCon with Squadron
No
42, but
CitizenCon.
no CitizenCon without a bones moment.
Bones. Right.
That's our. But yeah, we would be, of course. This is all pure theory crafting territory. No idea is too ridiculous, so please do let us know what your predictions are down in the comments, or feel free to just use them to tell us that we're wrong. That's also a valid option. We read all the comments, and thank you very much for everyone who watches, everyone who leaves a comment. If you're not subscribed already, it would be muchly appreciated, because I think it would just squeeze us over 1,000.
We're nearly there. I think we're about 30 odd away.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You could be the 1,000th subscriber, which there is no cash prize. But
Can you imagine watching something for an hour, assuming they haven't sped it up? And they're like, I'm still on the fence.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the next one.
Yeah.
Wait for 10 episodes.
Yeah. This is episode 9. It won't be too long to episode 10. Start the countdown. There you go.
Exactly. We'll be back soon with episode 10. But I think, with all that said, just where can people find you on the internet, Ben?
Oh, honestly, I've hit rock bottom. I haven't streamed in 7 months. I haven't put out a video in a year. But just to start with that, you can find me on Twitch. That one's more recent. Twitch.tv/MasterBen10. And on YouTube at MasterBen10, I believe, as well. So either one of those, you may find me at some point. There you go. Yeah.
Ben's just made me feel.
Where can they find you?
You just made me feel so much better about my 2-week hiatus because of my dodgy voice. So yeah, most of my stuff is all on YouTube. Find it there, and hope to have a video up shortly. If the third re-recording of the voiceover goes better, but judging by the fact that I've been talking for 1 hour and 10 now, I'd say
you're good to go.
I'd say we're over it. We're over having strepsils by me at every point I sit around my flat. So
you could get sponsored by Strepsils.
I hope I don't have to.
Okay, just popping them for every video.
Yeah, but with all that said, yeah, thanks very much for watching all the way to the end. And do just let us know what you think. All right, catch you in the next one.
Catch you later.